Hello and welcome. Thanks for viewing AHA's Parent Workshop on Positive Parenting. I'm here with Mariangelica.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're very excited to do this with you.
Yes, and I'm Melissa Lowenstein. I'm AHA's Director of Adult Programming and also of Content and Training. And Mari, share a little bit about your role at AHA.
I'm a facilitator. I've been with AHA for over 7 years. I'm also a positive psychology, health and wellness coach, and I'm a mother of 2 children. So this all applies to my life, and I experience it every day as well.
Thanks. Yes, and I have been with AHA since 2011. I'm a parent coach, and I am also an associate marriage and family therapist. So my favorite thing is working with parents, and we're excited to share with you some of this really useful information on positive parenting. You're going to see the full content portion of this workshop, and there's a slide deck that goes along with it. And the workshop was offered with dual interpretation. And we aren't able to share the recording with you in both English and Spanish, but the information provided will show up on each slide in both languages throughout. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about AHA. There's a picture from one of our Peace Builders workshops. You can see all those happy kid faces. So AHA is an educational nonprofit that's brought social emotional learning and community building to over 60,000 students, educators, and families in Santa Barbara, Carpinteria, and Goleta since 1999. And what we do is we try to equip teens, educators, and parents with social and emotional intelligence to dismantle apathy, prevent despair, and interrupt hate-based behavior. And by cultivating empathetic leadership, we try to transform schools, families, and communities into welcoming, nourishing, expressive, inclusive places where youth and adults work together for the highest good. And in tonight's group, what to expect. We're going to have Madi lead us through a brief mindfulness practice, which is really foundational to what we do at AHA in terms of all kinds of things, emotion management. Mindfulness really helps with that. And just allowing yourself to be choiceful in how you parent and how you relate to other people. So we always are going to start with a little mindfulness, and that will be super lovely. And then we're going to move into a content section. We're going to talk about some principles underlying positive parenting and also the reasons why we brought this to you as our first parent workshop on Zoom for the year for the Santa Barbara Unified School District. And then at the end, we're going to share some more about AHA, and programs are available to the community by donation, most of them. And you know, some of you may not get around to reaching out about these programs right away, and they were current in the fall of 2023, but you'll get email addresses to contact for more information if you want to learn more and you want to get involved. And there will also be short segments where you're going to get a chance to reflect on what we're sharing with you and how it applies to you and your parenting. And we really encourage you to either open up a document on your computer or take out a journal or a piece of paper and a pen, or even just a plan to talk to somebody who you're watching this workshop with about those questions, because it will really help you digest and download the material that we're going to share with you tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it along to Madi.
Thank you, Melissa. And yes, so we always start with a mindfulness moment to set up our minds ourselves to receive and be more open and present for what's coming. So I'm going to invite you all to just bring the attention to yourself. Let's bring the attention to ourselves by noticing our breath first. There's nothing you need to do about it. Just notice and be present for your breath. Notice what parts of your body expand when you inhale and what parts of your body contract when you exhale. Now I'm going to invite us to activate a little bit of our senses by, first of all, listening with our eyes closed or gazing down. Notice, what are the sounds that you can recognize of the space you're at? What could be the sound, the farthest away sound you can hear? What is the closest to you sound you can hear? Could be your breath even. Now let's go back to breath. Let's take all together a long inhale and a longer exhale. And now we're going to activate our sense of touch. So without opening our eyes, let's just with one finger touch the palm of one of your hands. Notice the lines, the texture, temperature of your hand. And notice the sensations you get by touching your hand. Now switch to the other palm and the other finger. Again, notice the sensations you get by touching the palm of your hand. Now let's go back to our breath. Notice if anything changed or if you're breathing and feeling the same. Let's take all together again, one inhale and one longer exhale. One last inhale together. And with this exhale, you can open your eyes slowly and be back here for our presentation. Thank you so much for joining me and us in this mindful moment. Back to you, Lisa.
That was so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I needed that more than I realized.
Yeah, me too.
What is positive parenting? It's all about showing children love, warmth, and kindness, which, of course, that's what we do as parents who love our children. Guiding children to act the way we want by encouraging and teaching them, as opposed to correcting or punishing. We want to encourage and teach. Helping children thrive by sending them messages that they're loved, that they're good, and that they matter. Why is it powerful? So there's research that shows that positive parenting strategies like the ones we're going to share with you help children do better in school, helps them have fewer behavioral problems, and it improves their mental health. And it helps children's brains function and develop better. With teen brain, which if you didn't know this already, if you don't have teens yet, they work a little differently than the brains of young children. It helps to improve the function of the part of the brain that is all about emotions and feelings with the part that's about thinking. So it helps make that connection between here's how I feel, how do I want to act? Positive parenting can really help create that link up more efficiently. And finally, research has shown that positive parenting strategies set children up for happier, healthier adulthood. It sets them up for better relationships, better mental health, and just a greater sense of well-being. That being said, sometimes it can be a difficult thing to do. And Mari's going to explain a little bit about why that might be.
Yes, sometimes it is difficult. I experience it myself. Because if we were not raised this way, for example, it might seem very strange or difficult to do it. If we come from a home where affection or emotions in general were not really shown up, we're probably not used to doing so or to receive that as well. Also, when life is challenging, when there's stress at home, things are happening, it's really hard to just be positive. And negativity can take over the environment and our emotional state as parents. And so please know this can happen, it's normal, it's human, and we all go through it. And so just all we want is to keep trying and keep learning, keep growing. And in the end, hopefully it all makes sense, and parenting and life with children will be just easier by being mindful and trying constantly all the things we're going to talk about. Also, there's always support. We can ask for support if we need it to manage our emotions and be positive with our children. Actually, and just by watching this video, this recording, you all can access to six free sessions of therapy. I think that's one of the biggest and most beautiful gifts AHA has to offer. And so if you need help with, dealing with your own emotions or anything that feels deeper, feel free to reach out and ask for help and support. AHA can provide that, and other organizations as well. And there are many resources that the district offers. We'll put up a link, I believe.
I think what we'll do is we'll let folks know there's email contacts several times in this presentation, including mine, melissa@ahasb.org. If you want more information about anything that we share about here, since we aren't running the chat in the recording, you can reach out and we'll send you everything that we have.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about an acronym created by the Department of Health of the University of Davis, California, called PRIDE. PRIDE, P-R-I-D-E. It covers all 5 positive parenting techniques, and I'll pass it to Melissa, who will start us off with this knowledge.
Thank you, Madi. Yes, so you see on the slide, praise, reflection, imitation, description, and enjoyment. It doesn't quite make an acronym in Spanish, unfortunately. We couldn't figure that out. And we'll start fleshing each one of these out. We'll take turns, Madi and I. So praise, noticing and accurately appreciating what children do and what they don't do that you don't want them to do. That's often the missing ingredient, is that we have high expectations of our children. We look for them to do certain things, and we don't tend to notice when they're not doing the things that we don't want them to do. And there's no child on the planet that can break all the rules all the time, although some of them may seem to be trying. So the first part of this positive parenting mind frame is to think in terms of what is there going on here that I can talk about that's going right, that's going well, or that's not going wrong. And one of the most important things about this is that our ways of talking to our children become the ways that they talk to themselves. That inner voice that you hear, we all have one. A lot of that was created by the way our parents spoke to us. And you have the chance as a parent now to help create a really positive, loving voice inside your own child's mind. And this does require sometimes that we actively reset our attention toward things that we might not otherwise see as praiseworthy. The more detailed you can be, the more specific you can be in your praise, the better. Saying you're awesome is not as good as saying you packed all your things in your backpack and put it by the door 10 minutes before we had to go. You're showing such great responsibility right now. So detail and specificity. So the child knows why they're awesome. What is awesome about me? Oh, it's that I'm being responsible right this minute. Guide children by pointing out behaviors that are already happening that you want to see more of, rather than talking quite so much about what you want to go away. Another example is acknowledging respect, which is big for a lot of us parents right now. Acknowledging it when it's happening rather than when it isn't, even a tiny bit. And you can notice and praise baby steps toward a bigger goal. Let's say the child didn't pack the backpack and put it by the door, but the books are next to the backpack. There's almost always a way that you can find a baby step that's happening or about to happen and that you can name. Praise your child for both achievement and effort. Just showing up sometimes is worth acknowledging. And let your love for your child come through with your words and with your body language and touch. So depending on the age of your child, littles love to be cuddled. Older kids, maybe not so much. They might get a little prickly, but whatever's appropriate for your child for their age and the way they want to be related to, really try to source that love and gratitude that you have for everything that they do and everything that they are, and let it shine through, even, or maybe especially on a day when things are hard. So we're going to take a moment for you to reflect, just a minute or so. And if you want more time, of course, you can always pause this recording. How are you with praising your child or children? And if it's something that's difficult for you, what stops you? And how could you make improvements in this skill? So we'll just take a moment. Actually, maybe we could just do that thing where we have them pause the recording. We don't even have to wait. I didn't think of that before we made this recording. So if you want more time to think about that, please do pause. Otherwise, let's keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
The next strategy is reflection, the R in pride. So when we reflect, we repeat back a child's words to them and we elaborate on what they have said. Now, with very young children, this is really important for language development, and it helps get children talking more than just asking them a question. So you can develop this beautiful rhythm with a very young child of reflecting back what they're saying and then maybe asking them a question to get them to talk some more. Try reflecting instead of saying things like, uh-huh, and I see. And it's especially good for expressing empathy when emotions are high. So let's say that a child is upset. I didn't like it when you took my ball. You can reflect back. It made you upset when Zach took your ball. I bet you feel angry and frustrated. So then you can reflect back some emotions that maybe the child isn't yet able to name. And you are guiding them and helping them in putting a label on how they're feeling. And that's going to reduce the chances that they're going to act it out. And being reflected in this way actually reads to a child like praise, because they feel seen. They feel seen in a moment when they're not doing something wrong, when they're just being themselves and learning and growing, and they feel seen in that moment, and that feels really good to them. And you might even try this with some adults in your life and notice how it feels to them too, because it feels that way to adults too. Just like all of these strategies that we're going to share today, they all actually work great in adult relationships. So we're going to take a moment to reflect now on reflection. Have you tried this skill of reflecting what you see your child doing? And if you have done that, how did it go? And if you haven't, what has stopped you and what could help you maybe dare to try this in your own parenting? And you can pause this if you like and take some time with this. I'm going to go ahead and advance to the next letter in our acronym. Oops. Imitation. Pride. Imitation. Go ahead, Mari.
Thank you. So we continue with the I in pride, which is, yes, imitation. This is especially helpful with younger kids. I have those younger, and it's such a great tool to imitate their gestures or the way they're playing in similar, like trying to actually be and express yourself like they are doing and walking like they are doing, painting, I don't know, whatever it's happening, to actually imitate them. This helps your children's social skills. It also helps the child feel seen, and that what they are doing is important, like Melissa was saying with the reflection part. And with older children, it is important to perform an empathetic reflection. Mention what we notice our children are doing. For this, we go to the following characteristic. That we talk a little bit more about this too, which is the D in pride, the description. Saying what the kid is doing, what they are doing, like a play-by-play sportscaster. literally, you're doing this, you're doing that. I notice you're doing this. This shows that we are paying attention and helps increase the child's attention span and helps the child feel seen again, and that what they are doing is important to us. We are present for them. And it leads them to appreciate the present moment and actually receive us and receive themselves in the moment. So again, we're gonna invite you or encourage you to take some time to reflect about this. You can pause the video or you can continue later and ask the question of, have you tried these skills of imitating and describing what you see with your child, when your child doing? And if you have, how did it go? If you haven't, what have stopped you? So again, you can just pause, take a moment with yourself. It helps processing all this information to actually reflect it, think about this in your own life. Otherwise, you can keep going. And we will continue with the E in pride, which is enjoyment. Enjoyment. Show warmth and enthusiasm. With your body and voice, engage curiosity. This can be challenging when life is hard, for sure. And, if we are not authentically enjoying it, it's absolutely hard. But actively seek experience of awe or enjoyment, or try to do or bring in situations and actions that can actually provide you as well with joy in what you're doing. So let's take a little moment again and think about this part. How are you with this skill, with enjoyment? What is stopping you from enjoying? And how could you improve? What things can you do to bring more joy to that connection? And I'm going to pass it to Melissa.
Thank you. And now we're gonna start to dream up a little bit about how all these might work together. And because my children are older, they're 20 and 23 now. And the time of having littles is long behind me. And it's hard to think about how this applies to, for example, a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, even a young adult. And I really encourage you to consider for yourself, like, how could you apply these strategies with a teenager who maybe doesn't even seem to want to be in the room with you? It does work across the ages of children, across developmental stages, but you do have to engage your creativity in making it work. So we watch for good behavior, and then we think, okay, time to use these skills. You don't necessarily want to do a lot of acknowledging, praising, etc., when the child is breaking the rules and doing things that you really don't want them to continue doing, which, as I said before, is really only a tiny proportion of the time, even for the kid who seems to be bent on being bad. So really watching for that good behavior and then taking that as a cue to apply these skills that we've covered. Water what you wish to grow is another way to say that. There's that saying, why water weeds? So you want to really try to set your sights on, let's talk about what's happening when things are going well. And even almost all unwanted behaviors have an opposite that's good. So again, this is really about resetting your own mindset around what you're scanning for and looking for when you're with your child. Scan for times when you see good behavior happening, talk about it when you see it. And this is a great way to support children in following the rules. They follow the rules when it's worth it. When it's more interesting to follow the rules than to break them. So that's one of the sort of secret shadow sides of this positive parenting thing, is you're actually trying to make it so that children will want to follow the rules by making it really rewarding for them when they do. And I'm going to pass it back over to Mari.
Thank you. And I want to invite you, Melissa, for this one too. Jump in if you have better examples or things that you want to add.
Okay, thank you.
Because Melissa is an expert on this for sure. So examples of what we can praise, imitate, reflect, or describe in our children. So in these different areas, we're going to talk about the good social skills and manners, for example, when we see them being kind, when they're, showing good sportsmanship, when they're helping others, making eye contact. For example, the eye contact is something that we usually just never make up like a point about it. I notice you're making eye contact with me right now when we're talking, or that's something very subtle that we just tend to let go, but it's a very important one. It shows presence and being there, saying please and thank you, being honest, sharing, showing empathy, taking turns, taking good care of the language, using a good language, repairing. That's a big one, and we're gonna talk about this in a deeper way later in one of our other workshops. But repairing, apologizing were called for, is part of this social skills and manners. Then in the area or the context, I don't know, do you want to add something, Melissa, to that first social skill?
I think you covered it beautifully. Thank you.
Okay. Then in the area of school and learning skills, when we can see them being concentrated, being focused, or when they're coming up with creative or flexible thinking, when they're focusing, staying on task. For example, I have a daughter that loves reading. And I don't know, we tend to take these things for granted, but really pausing and acknowledging them for doing these things is very important. Being persistent, solving problems, thinking things through, working hard or independently. In the area of self-control, being careful, gentle, calm, waiting patiently. For example, I have a son who, when he's hungry, he gets very angry. So I should remember this one better. Like, oh, I notice how you're patiently waiting for food to arrive on the table. I notice how you're being patient today. And last but not least, in the area of emotional intelligence, their feelings, what they're capable of naming what they're feeling. That's such a beautiful, important skill. Talking about not only feeling them, but saying, I feel this. What a skill. We should always definitely be mindful of acknowledging them for that. Considering others' feelings, using their words instead of acting out difficult feelings. And anytime you can see them self-soothing in healthy ways. I noticed you got angry, and instead of yelling, you just went to your bedroom and started coloring. Or I noticed instead of yelling, you went to your room and punched your pillow. So anytime we can see them processing their big feelings in healthy ways, it's important to acknowledge them. And back to you, Melissa.
I love hearing about your littles, adorable children. So for teens and older children, as I mentioned earlier, the teen brain is a little different. And the things that are developing for them have to do with giving them the resources and the courage to strike out on their own as adults. So they become more curious, they become more emotionally volatile. Their emotions go up and down, and they're really driven by their emotions. They tend to want more independence. They tend to take more risks. So you can really acknowledge them for these qualities that are natural for the teen brain, for the teen human, to start living life in a more adult way, being more independent, being curious and passionate about things, and in particular, having big emotions and managing them well. And then if you do see them even beginning to anticipate the consequences of their choices, short-term or long-term, that's something that is really good to mention, because that's something that they are actively building in this developmental stage is that ability to be in the moment, feel all the big feelings, and make a choice that's going to serve them well later on. And sometimes despite how they're feeling about it, sometimes despite a lot of discomfort. And I wanted to share, I share this with everybody I can possibly think of who is a parent or who knows a parent or who has a parent, any of it. I feel like it's such a valuable concept. That there are two psychologists in Texas named Kat Scherer and Elizabeth Sylvester. And they wrote a beautiful blog post about the long and short game of parenting on Psychology Today. And the point of that is that there's a short game of getting the child to do what you want them to right now, which often it can involve things like yelling or making threats or punishing, things like that. Because you just have to get that kid out the door into the car to get them to school on time, right? That's the short game. The long game, though, is about building and maintaining the positive, supportive kind of relationship that helps the child want to get out the door and get in the car and get to school on time. So what we are always trying to do as parents is balance the short and long game. And in particular, in those moments when you're feeling really reactive and it feels like an emergency, sometimes it is an emergency, in which case you should be reactive because that's what reactivity is for. But if it's not an emergency, then to really keep that long game in mind. And also just remembering that that long game isn't just about positivity. It's also about limits. Without reliable limits, children become anxious and they act out. So there's another balancing act for parents, the short game and the long game, limits and positivity. How can you be positive even when you're enacting discipline and setting boundaries? How can you provide discipline, which means to learn? Discipline means learning, without severing the relationship. So the second webinar that we did for the district and we recorded covered this in more detail, this question of boundaries and discipline. And I hope you'll go check that out. And if you want to read that article, please contact me and I'm happy to send it to you. So this is an excerpt from that article. Our children need to truly want to be part of our lives. Their relationship with us must feel pleasurable and valuable and be one in which they feel safe, seen, and cherished. And what that speaks to is if we really attend to this piece, parenting gets easier. And the child benefits more, and you feel happier. So that's why we wanted to talk about positive parenting. And now Mari's going to share a little bit more about just what we have going on at AHA, just to give you a feel for it.
Yes. Yes. AHA offers so much, but I'm going to share a piece of it. And also know that anytime you can go into our website, ahasb.org, and you can find all this information as well there. But right now we have after school programs. Monday we offer an ally group for Santa Barbara High School and San Marcos High School. Tuesday we have creative group. Wednesdays we have juniors group, which is for middle school. Girls groups and guys groups. We have Thursdays outdoor group, nature. We have Friday music group. We have Saturday, a group called the Littlest Little Farm, which is growing food and working through it with social emotional skills. We have a peace builders at most junior highs. Most are in leadership and ASB classes. Ask your students counselor if you're interested in this. And we do AHA councils are being held at many area schools throughout the year. And we have Goleta Valley Junior High School Parent Series. This will happen in spring. We have AS Parent Group at Parish Hall. We actually did this one. So
we have another one in the spring.
We have another one in the spring. So that's very important. And first Wednesday of every month, but January, we will have this online groups online workshops. So please join us and learn with us, because we're learning with you all the time. And if you have more information, or if you need to contact someone about all this, you can call Paulina. Paulina speaks also Spanish, or Melissa, present here. Paulina's email is Paulina, Paulina, at ahasb.org. Or Melissa, Melissa's email is right there in the screen. Oh, Paulina's too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So feel free to contact them. And yeah, we have many offerings, and also the free 6 sessions in case anybody needs therapy. Melissa, back to you.
Okay, we're going to close this out. Again, please reach out to me at melissa@ahasb.org if you would like to be emailed any of the materials that were mentioned in this workshop. A copy of the slide deck, we can send you that. We have links to the YouthWell directory of mental health resources, which is something that is a great community resource, the YouthWell website, and AHA is part of that list. And then if you are interested in the 6 free sessions of supportive psychotherapy for either a teen in your world, we work with teens aged 12 to 18 in the therapeutic arm of our organization. And we also can support parents with those sessions. So please do reach out if you're interested in those, or if you want a copy of the article that I shared about. And I just want to thank you again for watching this webinar. And you'll see on the slide, there is a QR code that is will connect you to a survey. And the surveys that we give in our groups really help us, first of all, just to keep improving our offerings to the community. And it helps us. We're a nonprofit, and we are able to offer our services free or by donation because of the generosity of donors and foundations who love to see the results of what we do from these surveys that we give out. So please do, if you have, it only takes a couple of minutes. If you have the time, maybe pull out your mobile device and grab that QR code and share with us how you think we did. And with that, we're going to say farewell. And thanks again.
Thank you for being here.